Our next piece of news, there's not really a link for this, it just comes from random leakers. I put that in quotes on Twitter. So a lot of people probably know who the famous Nintendo leaker rumor starters are, but essentially Skyward Sword HD has been rumored many times. I think it's more of people want it as opposed to legitimate rumors, but it still is interesting to me as a Zelda fan and as a huge fan of Skyward Sword. I think it has one of the best stories and some of the best dungeons in a Zelda game. Definitely some of the best cutscenes of any Zelda game. But some new information, again in quotes, involves Tantalus, the same company that made Twilight Princess for Nintendo, is apparently the same company to be remaking Skyward Sword. However, much like Grezzo, when they remade Ocarina of Time and then Majora's Mask, when they remade Ocarina of Time, it was their first Zelda remake, so it was more in line with what the original was, with a few changes and updates and stuff. But whenever they remade Majora's Mask, because they did such a good job on Ocarina of Time 3D, Nintendo gave them even more freedom with Majora's Mask 3D. Kayla and I were joking earlier about them adding in the fishing ponds and some of the other stuff into Majora's Mask when there wasn't even a fishing pond to begin with in Majora's Mask, and now there are two. And not only can you fish at these two ponds, you can put on Fierce Deity Link Mask and fish as Fierce Deity for some reason.
Like,
so
can you turn into Zora Link and just dive in and catch it?
Because
that would be the best. That would be the only way to convince me to enjoy fishing.
Cannibalism.
No, the Zoras eat fish.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm. It's cannibalism. Because like in Majora's Mask, you have the mission to where you have to go and save the fish eggs for the Zora.
No, they're Zora eggs though.
Yeah. But it's
not cannibalism.
So it's okay for the Zora to go out and save their own fish eggs, but when it comes to eating other babies of other fish type, it's completely fine.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Anyways, with Skyward Sword, apparently, just as with Majora's Mask, Tantalus has been given even more freedom with Skyward Sword than they did with Twilight Princess. With Twilight Princess, it was basically texture upgrades. They changed, like they added in some Breath of the Wild Easter eggs and stuff. I believe it was Mallow's Mart and Twilight Princess. There was the picture of the cutscene from Breath of the Wild hanging on the wall. There were some other updates, some textures around Hyrule Castle had like the Gorons and everyone with the Triforce, and everyone was trying to decipher exactly what it meant. You know, it didn't really have much to do with Breath of the Wild, but everyone thought it did. So they're going to be bringing similar changes and more changes to Skyward Sword. So this is less of, do we think this is going to happen, because we've had that before. This is going to be more of, with these changes and extra features being added in, what do you think they're going to be? Are they going to add in, now just hear me out on this, not one, not two, 3 fishing spots?
No.
No, okay. All right.
Please no.
Podcast over, guys. Go home.
Podcast over. Thank you, everybody.
Killed it with 3 fishing ponds. Come on.
Next piece of. No, well, Twilight Princess, you could fish anywhere. Hyrule was your fishing pond.
True, but there was still a fishing pond anyway.
You're a fishing pond.
Yes, I'm a good catch.
Oh,
nice. What now?
Turn that around on me. No, so. Now, I know this is physically impossible, but there are, like, in Skyward Sword, there is a lot of lava in the Goron, not the, the Elden region. I was thinking Goron, but there's no Gorons, and, well, there is the Goron, but there's no like, Goron City.
They're not in... The Gorons are not in the Elden province, which I find a little janky and weird.
Yeah.
They're just kind of elsewhere.
There's just like the one that's like running around.
Wandering
one.
around.
Hey,
And there's-
have you
I
seen
think
these pictures on the wall? You can draw and rupees will come
There's-
out.
3 Gorons in Skyward Sword. I'm pretty sure there's 3. There's Gorko, the main one,
Mm-hmm.
the archaeologist one.
Yeah.
Then there's another one in Lanera that you find digging. And then there's the one that does the minecart minigame.
Yeah. He's
Oh,
my
I think-
favorite.
I stopped paying attention. I just thought they were all the same Goron. I'm gonna lie.
No, they might as well be. Because the one of them, Gorko, is the only important one. I think the other one's Gortram. That's the one that does the minecart minigame. And I only remember his name because then I remember seeing there's like a part in Breath of the Wild that's named after him. It's like Gortram Lake, Gortram Ridge, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And I'm like, oh, that's that guy, right?
It's that dude from the
It's
thing.
him. There's so many references in Breath of the Wild's map that are just like one side character's name from like one game. And
Wait, where's the lake? Gorko Lake?
Gorko, I think it's somewhere around Death Mountain. I think it's like Gorko. I don't even know now. It's gone from my brain.
Nice.
I'll get my Switch and pull it up. If you want.
No, it's fine. So, yeah.
Look on the map here.
What kind of changes or features would you like to see in this Skyward Sword?
Okay.
Oh,
HD
what I was going to say,
Rumble.
the stupid thing that I was going to say earlier, the stupid joke I was going to make.
Oh.
In the Elden Province, if you could like fish in the lava, but it wouldn't be physically possible unless like the
fishing rod just catches on
the
fire.
fishing line was made out of like metal or something.
This is really embarrassing, but when you were talking about like fishing in lava, I was like, yeah, there's fishing in lava in that game, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm thinking about RuneScape.
Oh, is there?
I'm so
fishing in
sorry.
Lava in RuneScape.
You can do anything in RuneScape. Anyways,
Wow.
yeah. I don't know. Daniel, what would you like to see?
HD Rumble! But, like, it actually use it, like, good. Like, you know? I don't know. Because I want to see... Obviously, if they were going to do it, you'd got to use the Joy-Cons for motion control. It just makes too much sense. You pretty much got 2 modes. So they can actually make, I think, the sword play a little more intuitive. Like, obviously, you could just do this, and Link will actually, you know, do this or whatever.
Yeah,
But
and
then
I
when it
felt
came to
like
actually
Skyward Sword, they did
slashing-
go a little bit further as well with the sword.
Yeah, and I liked that, you know, like how one-to-one it was with your actions. But as soon as you're actually slashing, there's pretty much stabbing or 8 directions of slashing and then the spin attacks.
Yeah.
So it wasn't actually a full 360 when you're actually doing a slash. So I feel like maybe they could do a bit more with that. Make it a little more... Like, they're pretty precise with it, but they could be more precise. But I would like them, like, with Twilight Princess HD's re-release, you had the option to use, like, you know, there's a lot of options of how you could play it. You could have the over-the-shoulder aiming or first-person aiming, and you could have the map flipped or not, and you could have motion controls on or off. And so even though I would probably play Skyward Sword HD with the motion controls, I know that that was a barrier for a lot of people. And so if they had the option to just have it like Pro Controller, gyroscope aiming for your stuff if you want it, but you can have motion controls off if you want. I think it would detract from the experience overall because Skyward Sword is really built around that. But it would still be nice to see the option because I think if just people saw that the option to have it off was there, they would be more inclined to try it if they haven't already. So, you know, that and HD Rumble. So,
that and HD Rumble.
HD Rumble, please do something with that. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember, didn't Nintendo say with Breath of the Wild they wanted to include HD Rumble with the Switch version, but they ended up not doing it because they wanted both to be as close to each other as possible. They didn't want one being the superior version.
Even though the Switch is
Yeah.
the superior version.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was exactly they I don't know what they could have done with it in Breath of the Wild, but they wanted to do something.
Yeah, maybe something with but then it would have affected the Wii U version. Like there are the shrines to where you have to use motion control to like turn it a certain way.
Yeah.
To figure out the puzzles. So if they used HD Rumble to assist you or something, to where if you feel like the entire controller vibrating instead of just a section of it, then you know that you're getting closer to how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, or you could feel like the ball rolling on the thing, like, because they do that where, like, I don't know if you've played
Nintendo,
much 1-2 Switch, but in the 1-2 Switch, which is like pretty much a tech demo of how HD Rumble works, there's a game where you can like you can like feel marbles rolling inside the Joy-Con. It's not really there, but actually
it's my favorite pastime.
It actually, yeah, there's no point for it, but it does feel like there's marbles in there. I don't know how it's done technically, but it is kind of impressive. Pointless, but kind of impressive.
Well, yeah, because like the entire point of 1-2 Switch was to really like demonstrate all of the different capabilities that their Joy-Con had.
Yeah, many of them pointless, but impressive. I don't know.
You're right. It would be really nice to see them incorporate that into other games.
But the milk thing was too weird for me.
Here's the question. Twilight Princess got an entirely new dungeon.
Ooh, give me one of those.
And a new amiibo.
Give me one of those.
What amiibo would and the
Loftwing amiibo.
The Twilight Princess amiibo ended up working with Breath of the Wild to bring back Wolf-Link. So
Loftwing amiibo.
In these updates, if they add a new dungeon to Skyward Sword and they add a new amiibo for Skyward Sword,
Loftwing amiibo, please.
What are they going to be? Since Daniel is having a hard time trying to think of what he wants, Kayla, what amiibo would you like to see?
This is a really hard question for me because I don't care about amiibos the way he does up there. Look at him freaking out.
Can we get a Groose amiibo?
Yeah, Groose.
I would like that. Or like Groose,
I would love a Groose
or Impa, because Impa is my jam.
I really want a Loftwing amiibo. A Loftwing amiibo makes sense.
Yeah,
I feel like a Loftwing amiibo would be so cool, especially if it could work with other games.
Imagine a software update.
It sounds like bombs are going off.
It does. Are you okay?
Oh my goodness.
Does like the air raid alarms start going off? You know, the air raids. I'm making World War I jokes. I'm sorry.
You're gonna Google what's going on outside right now.
Hey, are we being attacked?
Oh my goodness! But no, I really do want a Loftwing amiibo though, like legit, because it would be so cool. And just imagine a software update to Breath of the Wild, and then boom, you can summon your Loftwing.
Oh, it'd make getting around to places so much easier, and actually like being able to explore everything.
Yeah. Like, I can understand if they put a limitation around it.
Experience. Yeah.
But,
you have to feed it like you do the motorcycle.
Yeah, there you go.
Just give it some wood.
I was going to say give it some carrots or something, but sure.
Yeah.
Wood,
yeah, okay, you feed the Loftwing some wood.
Wood, some ancient shafts, you know, some ancient gears, flint, and wood. There you go.
No, it would make sense if it would only eat, like, certain types of food. Like, it could only eat fish. Yeah.
Or it's like your horse. You can feed your horse, but they'll only eat certain food.
I thought you meant feed the horse to the Loftwing.
No!
That's horrible, Daniel.
No, Epona, you're out. Oh my goodness. No, don't feed your horse to Loftwing. You can give your horse food, is what I should say. But yeah, like that they'll only eat, I think, carrots and apples. I don't think they'll eat much else than that.
Okay, there are thunder shower warnings.
Warnings?
Oh,
no,
shower.
That was
lightning. Warnings. We are past warnings here.
Okay.
The Thunder Dragon himself is out there.
Yes, Nehru, I believe? No.
It's getting real out there.
One of them.
Well, I guess there's two Thunder Dragons. There's Nadra in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yeah, Nadra.
And then there's Lanayru, the Thunder Dragon in Skyward Sword. So what do we make of that?
Interesting. All right. So what I want to say about the Loftwing amiibo, bringing in the Loftwing for Breath of the Wild, like it does with Wolf-Link. What a lot of people, the instant reply that a lot of people say, there's probably people watching the video typing this up, is that Loftwing would ruin the exploration of Breath of the Wild. What I always say, and a lot of other people have to say, is in Breath of the Wild, they say a loft wing would ruin exploration because you would just simply be able to fly somewhere. The game already lets you instantly warp somewhere. So if anything, giving you a loft wing would add more exploration, because then not only are you exploring the land or just warping to where you want to go, you can fly overhead and maybe, like, if you're going from one area to another and you're walking there, you might skip a lot of areas that you wouldn't otherwise come across. But if you are flying on the loft wing and you use the camera to look down while you're like flying over a lake or a mountain, you might see something that you otherwise wouldn't have seen. So then you're like, oh, I need to mark that spot on the map and visit later, or even fly down there to get it right then. And that adds more exploration. It doesn't take away exploration. Again, because the game already lets you warp. Literally, with the DLC and the warp medallion, whatever it's called, you can literally warp anywhere you want to.
It's true.
That takes away exploration.
Plus, you can kind of fly with Rivali's Gale plus Paraglider anyways if you use it right.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there would probably be a limitation to the Loft Wing's usage, like either stamina or food, like the motorcycle, but... yeah, also I have to apologize in the chat, everyone's correcting me. It was Farosh, not Nadra, that's the Thunder Dragon in Breath of the Wild. I'm sorry everybody, I let y'all down. I can't believe I did.
It's okay, Daniel.
Like you looked at the chat and you saw everyone was just yelling.
Oh, yeah, no, actually, I'm sorry guys. You got me, that was an error there.
Alright, so...
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry!
Amiibo added the Skyward Sword with Breath of the Wild connection, which would be cool because then they've already said there's no more DLC for Breath of the Wild, but they could get around that by releasing Skyward Sword and be like, hey, it's backwards compatible. And then they can release the Loft Wing to use to fight in Smash Brothers, and then you can use it there too.
That's another thing, is that... Is we didn't talk about Amiibo compatibility in Skyward Sword. They would have to add that.
Yeah, what would it do for Skyward Sword?
Well, I don't know. Maybe something similar to, like, with Twilight Princess, it gave you, like, health pickups or arrows. I think the Zelda ones were health, like, hearts. Arrows for the Link Amiibo.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
The Wolf Link, if you tapped it, you would transform into Wolf Link, which was not actually that useful because it was just mapped to a button on the gamepad screen anyways. And Ganondorf Amiibo gave you hard, like extra hard mode as well.
In Skyward Sword, like you just press down to call the Loft Wing. So, like picking up your Amiibo after you jump to tap it would be less intuitive than just tapping it down.
far less.
Maybe you can tap it to refill your whatever they're called, where you can like dash forward.
Just stamina?
Yeah. Is it stamina? I don't know.
Yeah,
the stamina. It refills your stamina if you tap it.
But then you have to like be running. Well, I don't know. That could be a little awkward to actually be doing. Like you're running and you're just like
not Link's, the Loft Wings.
Oh, the Loft Wing stamina.
So you get like where you can like whack your Wii remote forward like this to get the Loft Wing to dash, and you only have like 3 or 5. You tap the Amiibo, it instantly fills up, so you're not just like waiting for it to.
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. That is legit some scary weather, dude.
Okay, so yeah, we are in. I was gonna make a joke saying that we were in that one place. Is it the Thunder Plane? What's it called in Skyward Sword, where it's always like lightning and stuff? You have to fight.
Oh, the thing in the sky. I totally don't remember.
Yeah. No, that Thunder Dome.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it was called.
Where Levias is there. You have to fight the parasite on Levias. Anyways,
back me up in the chat. I'm pretty sure it's called the Thunderdome.
Yeah. So
Thunderdome.
Yeah. What? Okay. So aside from Amiibo.
So also Kano in the chat says someone's playing the Song of Storms outside of Jesse's house.
For real. So
Thunderhat.
Thunderhead. We
that
have
is right.
That's where you have to go to like.
Yeah, you fight Leviathan.
Yeah, there's like the bugs and stuff. That guy, he's there towards the end of the game. Yeah, is that all that we have to talk about with Skyward Sword? Can you guys think of anything else?
Actually, I have a lot to say apparently.
Okay.
Ooh.
One thing that bothered me in Skyward Sword, okay? When you jump off of Skyloft, you like Skyloft is all one loaded area, right? The outdoors of Skyloft. You jump off, you call your bird, and then the sky is a separately loaded area.
Yeah.
And then when you go above Skyloft, if you like all the islands in the sky are one loaded area, but if you jump off back to Skyloft, then it's a separate loaded area. And I would like that to just be all together, to have it all in one loaded area, because when you jump, it always bothered me when I jump off of the Loftwing right above Skyloft, and I should land in one spot, and then it kind of fades to white, and then it fades back out, and I'm like 30 feet in the other direction, and I land, and I'm like, this is where you loaded me? Like, I was way over there. Like, it's not that big a deal, but for me, it really takes me out of the game when you go through this loading screen, and you're like way not close to where you actually jumped. You know what I mean?
Like totally immersed, and then suddenly you're teleporting through the game.
And you're just like,
here's what I have to say about that. That could be possible. I think they would have to customize the engine.
Yeah,
The original engine for Skyward Sword. But here's the thing. When Nintendo started with their GameCube Wii version of Zelda game, like being remade for the Wii U or whatever, Wind Waker was remade using the early Zelda Wii U engine. And they even said they experimented with Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, and they felt Wind Waker benefited the most, which is why if you compare the GameCube Wind Waker to the Wii U Wind Waker, it looks drastically different, where the Wii version of Twilight Princess and the Wii U version of Twilight Princess look different, but not as drastic, because it's running off of the same engine. I always assumed Nintendo just didn't want to give a third-party use of their engine that they were keeping for Zelda, Wii U, or what would become Breath of the Wild. So that's why, because they were the ones that remade Wind Waker, they used their new engine. But with Twilight Princess, it was Tantalus, and they didn't want to give up their new engine, so Tantalus just upgraded the original engine. But since Breath of the Wild's already out, if they let Tantalus remake Skyward Sword using the same engine, then you could potentially get it to where all of the islands are connected.
Yes. And that's the thing, is that, like, given the scope of Breath of the Wild, and that can be one seamless world, there's no reason that the sky section of Skyward Sword can't be. Like, there's way less going on in there. Yeah, and there would also, something else that would be really cool is if they had, like, added some ground routes, I want to say. Like, you might the first time have to go back to the sky and then jump through the column, but then after that, if they can add a way to connect the different surface areas together, because they're like basically in 3 separate areas, right?
So like bring
just like
Hyrule Field?
They don't have to add a whole new like area, but like add a path, and you go down the path and then you end up in the other area. You know what I mean? Just for like ease, like a shortcut.
See, Nintendo, in interviews, they said Breath of the Wild, the original concept of it began to where they wanted a huge open world, everything connected, because Skyward Sword was so, like, parted off and so linear. So you had, like, these 3 wonderful areas, but they weren't connected, so they felt isolated. So since they wanted to correct that, and that was the first mistake that they wanted to correct when they were working on the new game. With these, the rumor is there's going to be a lot of updates coming to the Skyward Sword HD version. So if this was one of the updates, to where it was, they're adding in, like, it could be just as barren or empty as like Hyrule and Ocarina of Time, or Hyrule Field and Twilight Princess, to where there's like occasional enemies, some random chests, but there's not too much going on in the actual Hyrule field. If they did something similar with Skyward Sword, it wouldn't take much just to put in a generic land for you to like run around in, and then they could add Epona. But I think that would be a bit too
Probably
much.
won't, but that would be cool.
Yeah.
We would finally get like Toon Epona from Wind Waker 2. That never,
That never happened. But see, my thought was just kind of like, even if, like, you know, in Ocarina of Time, there's like a shortcut in the Lost Woods, and you just go down it, and then you're in Goron City. Like, it's just a little shortcut thing. Even just something like that would make miles of difference, because if you need to go from one area to the other, it's annoying to go to a statue and then go up into the sky and then fly over and then jump down the thing and then go to the area, you know? So if they just add a little shortcut, you know?
There are all of the remnants and stuff of like ancient buildings and everything and Breath of the Wild. It would be cool since now they have the landmarks and areas that they could represent in the overworld for Skyward Sword. That would be really cool if they like added in those connections.
Yeah. That would, yes.
And then like the remnants of like ancient Hyrule before they were like taken, put on top of Skyloft. So like you could see potentially like the buildings or temples or whatever they had in Hyrule Field before Demise came to destroy everything. And then maybe you would even see like the huge crack in the ground that he rose up from.
Oh.
So
there's a lot of opportunity here, you know, like
do it, Tantalus.
Are we like officially developing the new Skyward Sword HD right now? Like, is that what's happening?
I'm getting some texts from Miyamoto right now.
Oh no, the Nintendo ninjas are gonna come for you.
So
they're gonna shut down the stream again.
The real boss is actually Mario. Mario is the boss, man.
Yeah,
come on.
He sent me a GIF with thumbs up saying we're good.
All right, nice.
It's like that. Yeah, there we go.
What was it like during all of the Breath of the Wild teases? He would always be like,
yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Do we have anything left for Skyward Sword? And we can move on to the top 10 Breath of the Wild cut content.
All right, let's do it.
Let's move on.
I think
we
the
talked
chat's
a lot
impatient
of Skyward Sword
Breath
too.
of the Wild.
So this one's going to get a new intro because it's different from the questions, similar to how the mailbag gets its own intro. So you guys ready?
Yes.
Yep.